Everybody. Welcome to my weekly Real Talk with Riah. Um, Hoping everybody is doing well today and is excited about chatting about team communication. That's kind of how we've been talking, working on building the topic this week in our group and on our social media platforms. And we got a really interesting and cool conversation going about project management tools. So I wanted to go and dive a little bit deeper into team communication and how to avoid some of the pitfalls and how to really dive into doing it correctly. And I speak from only my own experience. I'm not an expert, but I do manage a team and have managed multiple teams. So I speak from the place of what has worked well and what has been to my detriment. So something that I've implemented in the last couple years, and when things are not going as well, I can tell that we've been skipping these as weekly check-ins. So we don't have to necessarily check in all the time, but having a touch point on at least a weekly basis is super important. And doing this either over like a chat or preferably doing like a 10 to 15 minute face-to-face over Zoom or something along that lines is best, just to look over what's on the plate for the employee for the week and make sure that you're identifying any obstacles to them being able to do their job, that they have all the tools they need, and that the expectation is very clear. I have noticed that when I skip this meeting for whatever reason, we really have to do quite a bit of catch up with emails and Slack communication. We use Slack instead of Teams. So this is a really important step. And what I would say is also important is don't get bogged down in the meetings. We don't need to have meetings about meetings about meetings. They need to be concise. I think, again, 10 to 15 minutes is more than enough to go over what's on the task and agenda list. And avoid Riah rants, what I like to call Riah rants, where you just go down tangents and you don't address the issues really at hand in a way that gets to the point. Because every minute that you have that person in a meeting is a minute that they're not producing for you. So while it is absolutely crucial to be clear in the communication, it is also crucial to keep them out of unnecessary meetings. For those of you buried in unnecessary meetings, you are welcome. Being really clear in your directions is super important. An example just came up, literally just came up. There's a task that's on one of my employees' boards, and it said, work on email list. And her status is working on it or in progress. And there's no like comments or anything. So I like checked in and I was like, hey, so-and-so, what is the status on this? Where are we at with this? And then I posted the update, and then I was like, this is a really sucky task assignment. I'm sorry. Like, I should have said, been more specific as to what I was asking you to do. So tell me where you're at and let's adjust this task. A better example would be I'm having them do some research on optimal times to post on different platforms for social media. So I found some resources and I said, please read these resources. And then a secondary task that says, using the previous resources, please adjust our social media scheduler according to the correct times for our niche and the different platforms. And so, yes, it seems like microtasking, but it is more clear as to what it is that they're supposed to be doing. And then you're going to get a better idea of where they're at in the project status. So the next thing I wanted to say was that in team communication, there's really a fine line and a really important designation to accountability and autonomy. So you want to give your employees the autonomy to be able to do the task in the way that their brain functions the best. But you also need to have a level of accountability. And so figuring out what that looks like for you and your business is really important. I have found that I've made some very difficult mistakes in giving too much autonomy and giving over too much of my control. And that doesn't mean I need to be a control freak, but it does mean that I need to be more in touch with what's happening inside my business. And what I was trying to do was really focus on the networking and the being with people and letting the production and the actual worker bee type stuff happen. But I wasn't asking enough questions or really following up on things that were in flux, that were like stuck in bottleneck status. I was just kind of letting it be. And that is a mistake. You need to be really looking at where things are getting bottlenecked in your business, what is stuck, and while you're giving them the autonomy to do the task the way they want, you are keeping them accountable to getting it done. So you can say like, hey, want to know the status of this task? Where are you at? And I would like it completed by da da da. You know what I mean? Like, how are you working on it? What's the process? And, like, where are we stuck? Do you need tools? Whatever it might be. So again, it's that balance of accountability and autonomy where you're allowing them some flexibility with the way that they get the job done, but you're still keeping them accountable for getting the job done in a way that makes sense for the business. And the last point that I will drive into your brain so hard is that you must leverage technology. So it is, that conversation that we had that was so lively about project management tools was, it's not a surprise to me. Like, we have to have a way of visually seeing what's happening in our business, and we all think different ways. So there are different tools. So like some people will use Trello. Some people will use Trello is more of a Kanban, like cards that you can move along, that you can attach images. Asana is more of a list-based project management tool, which is actually really cool too. I didn't used to like it, but I think it has a lot of nuance to it in that you can assign subtasks to different people. Whereas Trello really works well if you are a single like solopreneur, or if you have like one person on your team. Trello can be really an amazing tool, and both of those are free. They have paid like up versions. But the free versions are extremely robust. Other options that people use, we use Monday.com. Monday is very colorful. It gives you the flexibility of doing things in the list version or the Kanban version or Kanban. I don't know. Kanban actually feels better to me to say it that way, but I don't know if it's Kanban or Kanban. We use, like, for example, most of our weekly tasks we'll use in a list version. And then, our podcast, workflow we use in a Kanban, version. The other thing that I like about Monday is that each column is customizable in each, board. So you could have like status, you could have priority, due date, links, files. Gosh, there's like so many options that you can have for the customization. So each of my employees, I mean, the main thing that I want each of my employees to have is like a status and a priority. And I'm the one who sets the priority, and they're the one who sets the status. And then, then the rest of the columns are, I kind of leave it up to them to design it the way that makes sense for them. What are some of the other ones? People are fanatical about ClickUp. It's a little complicated in terms of the way that it's like so robust that it's a little too much for me. But to be honest, I haven't spent enough time in it to really give a good review of it. And I know that so many people love it. Airtable is another one that came up for in our conversation in the group this week that people really enjoyed. So what I'm trying to say is there is really a project management tool probably for free for every single person. So get off of Excel. That is not the way to manage your projects. You need something that you can see a status of where the project is at. Is it needing to be done? Is it in process? Is it stuck because it's waiting on somebody, whether that be you or somebody else? Like we are working with a consultant and there are tasks that are stuck because we are waiting on that consultant. And then is it done? And then it gives me a notification when things are done. We can add updates and comments in there. We can add due dates to that, and then we can add reminders so that if it gets stale or is been staying in the needs to do for too long, it kind of dings us and says, hey, like what's happening over here. These are crucial to automating your business into that team communication. If you just try to tell somebody and have them take notes, first of all, you're going to forget what you said. And second of all, they're going to forget how to do it. And then the Excel spreadsheet or a Word doc or something along that lines, that is not going to give you the tools of due dates and status and priority and all of those things. And so leveraging technology is absolutely crucial in communication. And like one example that came up yesterday that was like a personal example, but it has like really been a game changer in our house is we have an Alexa. I'm not going to say the word because she will go off. We like when we want to talk about her, we call her Karen. So when we want to, like Karen has made it easier for us to do alarms and timers and reminders and we do drop-ins. So like my bedroom is downstairs from my youngest child. So in the morning when she needs to wake up for school, I can do a drop-in to her bedroom and say, hey, it's time to wake up. I need you to get out of bed. And then in 5 minutes, I can set an alarm with Karen. And then I can say, hey, are you up yet? And then some of the silly things that we can do with technology is like she sent me Don't Worry, Be Happy as a song and how to play in my room. And then sent me Too Legit to Quit by MC Hammer this morning to my room to play. So what I'm trying to say is technology doesn't have to be stale. It doesn't have to be cold. It does give you the ability in a snapshot to communicate well with your team. Use it wisely. Be really clear. Be very concise with the way that you use it. Don't say work on email list. Riah, what were you thinking? What do I want her to do with the email list? And break it into micro tasks. I can't say that enough that like a micro task is always easier and always better to break things down in a project management tool, because then you can actually see the status of where things are at and that things are getting done in the standard operating procedure that they should. And then lastly, just revisiting, do those weekly check-ins, like actually communicate with people. Take 10 or 15 minutes to do a face-to-face, connect with them as a person, check to make sure that personally they're doing okay. There's nothing going on that would impede them doing their job. You're giving them all the tools they need in order to be successful at what they need to do, and you are really thinking about them in their own success as an employee and as a person. So it's all about team communication this week, guys. I want you to just know that you are cared about, and I hope I'm communicating well with you. I am trying with these live streams every week. I encourage you to please comment. Tell me what project management tool you guys are using. How are you leveraging technology in your communication? Are you having weekly check-ins with people that you work with, whether that be contractors or employees? If you're not doing weekly check-ins, how's that going? Like, what frequency do you meet with them, or how do you communicate with them to make sure that you're staying in contact with them? And also, I'd love to hear from those who are drowning in meetings about meetings, and see how's that going for you, as Dr. Phil would say. So this is it for this week, guys. Tell me your comments, and tell me what is going well for you and what you think you could do better, because I will take it into consideration in the way that I personally am working with my team. And I thank you. I hope you're doing well this week. I'll see you next Friday. Friday, not Friday, Thursday. I'll see you next Thursday for the next Real Talk with Riah. Bye, guys.